Hi, this is Steve and welcome to Jbrc Race Cars. Today I'm out here in the shop with Bud, Peyton, one of our shop fabricators, and I don't think we've ever really done much in the videos showing you all the Dzus related products that we have. Panel fasteners, plates for the panel fasteners, tools to help with the installation. In our catalog pages here or whatever, we have one complete page that's full of nothing but many of the installation tools, anything from the Dzus drivers themselves to drill fixtures, smash rivet tools that we use for smashing the rivets, which we're going to do a demonstration on here in a minute, the rivet cutter, transfer punches, just as well as all the hardware. And then when it comes over to the panel fasteners themselves, a whole variety of different plates. The guys in the shop have for years taught me all the different uses of the plates, different areas that they would be used on the car, and why. The panel fasteners themselves, a wide variety of anything from self-ejecting panel fasteners with the traditional screwdriver slot that had been there forever to now the more popular hex style, the springs, the different grips. We have fasteners that what I call self-ejecting, stays with the Dzus itself. When you undo it, it stays with the panel on the car, to the Dzuses that I call come loose in your hand, anywhere from a countersunk to a flathead to different sizes, anywhere from 7/16, 5/16 quarter, stuff that we use to Dzus in rear windows. And now the popularity of these Dzuses, not only going from the traditional gold finish that had been around, silver finish, and now the popular black. I mean, this black thing is just taken off like crazy. So in the installation of them, the rivets themselves for years, the way they've always been able to get them from the vendors is the rivet had kind of a gold finish on it. And that gold finish went great with the gold Dzuses, but when people started using them with the silver, it was kind of like, well, what do I do? And then the guys in the shop just taught me basically very simple: take a piece of Scotch-Brite, twist it back and forth a couple times, and again the finish comes right off, and that made it accent real well with our silver Dzus. Then we started taking, now because of the popularity of the black, we started taking the black, or the, I should say the smash rivets themselves, sending them out and having them black coated. Again, a wide variety of why, and we'll get into that, how come, as far as the length of the rivet itself to the head style of the rivet itself. So with Bud here, I'll let him do an installation here and show us a little more as to why we might use a long one based off of maybe the panel thickness in the car, maybe a little more body work in that particular area. The filler might be a little thicker, so we might have to use a longer rivet to get through versus a little short installation. So
gotcha. What I'd like to talk about is the proper way that we install Dzus into a panel. The first thing you do on the body Dzus, it's the larger of the two Dzuses. It requires a 3/4 inch hole. I bored a 3/4 inch hole here. We use a rotor cutter to put it in there. It makes a nice clean hole. But if you notice here, you put this Dzus in and it still kind of rocks back and forth. And what we'll do is take a chamfer tool and just put a little bit of chamfer in there to ensure that the Dzus sets nice and flat. You don't want it rocking back and forth.
basically allowing that area there, Bud, like you're saying.
Right, the actual taper part right there to fit down in the hole. That way the flat part of the Dzus itself sets on the body component.
Sure, retains the.
Yep. But when installing the Dzus, you could use a pilot like this. This right here, the outside panel matches up with the spread on the Dzus itself. And then now we've got this pattern right here into the panel. So I put the Dzus in there, and we put in our smash rivets. And then our backup plate. The backup plate is what makes this process good process. The backup plate is 30 thousandths of an inch thick. So keep that in mind whenever you're putting panels together, that this is actually going to space your component out 30 thousandths of an inch on the back side. What I typically do is take a Cleco, an 1/8 inch Cleco, get it in there.
Support and hold the opposite side. You're
Oof, now it's all falling apart on me.
all right.
Basically holds one side of it together, and you can put the other, you can work with the other side without having to fall loose in your hand. Okay. So now we got the back plate installed, the smash rivet sticking through the hole. We need to cut this smash rivet off the link. They're oversized to begin with. What we use, there is an actual rivet cutter, but in the shop for convenience, we just use a pair of dikes. Snip, it's a soft type rivet, so a pair of dikes will cut it with no problem. Usually leave it about a 1/16 of an inch long. And what that does is it leaves enough area to expand on the back side. Now whenever you smash the rivet, you have to adjust this tool. This dome part of the head goes on and encapsulate the top part of the smash rivet. Make sure everything's kind of pushed together. And you give it a light squeeze. That expanded the smash rivet, and now it's locked into place. Okay. Something that a lot of people I see do out there, they'll squish it too hard, and what that will do will expand too much. It will expand the shank of the rivet, and it will crack or break the fiberglass or the carbon fiber that you're putting it into. So,
Sure.
So whenever you're smashing it, you know, be gentle and kind with it. And if it starts pushing things out, stop at that point. But we'll do one here on this side.
And some of the features, Bud, of the backing plate, basically now we're taking the panel fastener itself with the backing plate, and we're sandwiching the carbon material between it, and with what you were doing with the rivet squeezer, you're somewhat controlling how much the crush is necessarily,
Sure.
So you're not cracking into the paint or body filler or anything like that.
If this backing plate wasn't on here, then this rivet would be expanding into either carbon or fiberglass, and then eventually it's going to break. Especially with these cars with tremendous tire shake, it's going to definitely break.
Sure.
So backing plates are definitely the way to go. Once again, kind of snip it off, leave it about 1/16 of an inch out. And ensuring that everything's flat. Now I can go in for the squish.
Trying to see a complete installation there or whatever. And I guess if a guy was doing a particular panel on the car and you knew your panel thickness was consistent,
Yes.
just like you showed with the dikes, though that you can do it this way, you could set your rivets up, go ahead and pre-cut a series of them and already have them
Sure.
pre-cut to that 1/16 over depth that you're
Yes.
talking about or
So
whatever.
you can use that tool to set that depth.
Yep.
All these little fingers right here set the depth.
Set
of
the
the
depth
rivet.
of the rivet for
Right.
cutting it, yeah. And then the rivet tool that you smashed it with too or whatever, but I guess we've got anything from this economy one here, low cost one or whatever, and you guys have showed me again in the shop before, you gotta talk about the throat depth material. Like in the case of when you were doing this one, you were able to get into the throat, what you needed it, and then you can get into a more high-tech one, which we use out here in the shop too, or whatever, which has a
for a deeper panel,
deeper throat.
a deeper
This
throat.
pivots, which sometimes makes it, when you're on a corner or an edge, I guess, makes it easier to get into that center. And then for places like on the hood scoops and stuff like that, where somebody will say, man, how did you do that up in the roof of the hood scoop or whatever?
On
We
top
actually,
of a curved surface or the bottom of the fenders is where we use this a lot.
this tool here, and it can actually just be set, I guess, on the table with the rivet in it, and the panel could be brought over the top of it and worked. It could be held in hand, maybe two guys, one guy up in the hood scoop holding it against the head of the rivet while somebody comes around the backside. In that case, we're not going to be able to use the rivet squeezer tool, so I guess like a little ball peen or body hammer and just lightly.
We use a body hammer and give it a small rat or tat on the backside to expand the rivet and hold it in place.
Sure.
So another thing that we can do that we do in-house is we'll take these rivets instead of having the button head. Basically the same type of tool as what you got there. different tooling in there, and what this will do, it will create,
Oh, yeah, you guys have shown me this. I mean, you talk about making
it will create a bevel or a chamfer inside the Dzus itself, and then you can take a Dzus or a
countersunk one there, bud. Get one set up.
Then now, this is nice and
Really
countersunk
nice.
still.
So when the Dzus is also pushed and locked in place, now you run over top of it, you don't even have the small domed head of the rivet
Correct.
itself, it's completely flat or whatever,
Right,
so.
and people that like polishing their car, the Dzus is down in place. This makes it, for polishing rags to go over the top of it and stuff. It's better than the olden days when they would take rivets and come in from the backside and it would expand on the top. You take a rag and try to wipe off something like that, and it's tearing and catching all over the place. That's why we use this process here.
Sure.
So it's a lot cleaner.
And then when the panels fit into the car, final tools like this would be used to adjust your spring depth, so you can get the panel fastener locking correctly.
Yeah, which this one works real good for that. This one is all hand activated. You just put it on your Dzus spring and then keep twisting it until the desired pull. And then if the Dzus is too tight, this will loosen the spring itself. This tool here does the same thing. It will pull the spring and make it looser, or you can flip it over with these stanchions right here, and it will expand the spring. It will push it the opposite direction and make the Dzus tighter, for your panels. So you can either pull the spring, or stretch the spring. Either one with this tool here.
Gotcha. And then some other things we have is like I said, we got a ton of different models or styles of panel fastener plates, weld-on ones or whatever, anything from ones that are countersunk to just the flathead ones, and I guess tools like these could drop in, lay that on there, and you can lay your panel over the top, and this would be like a transfer punch that would
Transfers to the center of that hole.
center your hole where you're going to drill for your panel fastener itself. And then dimple tools
Yep.
for dimpling material.
Yes.
Uh,
For aluminum panels and steel panels, that works excellent. It creates a countersink basically about like this right here.
Sure.
For your Dzus to sit down into.
Yeah, so it gets the flush heads just sit nice and clean and flush. Yeah, so. Okay, well, later we'll show you what should not look like. Well, there you have it. Just a small sampling of the Dzus panel fastener plates and tools that we have for doing the job right. As we told you before, we're always here to help. Just give us a call, and we'll help you with your particular project.